We should not linger, Edyar. The Grey Host could find us at any moment.
Head to the surface. I need to fulfill my end of our bargain.
Looks like you made good on Fenn's promise. Now talk to Edyar and get him to do the same.
You actually did it. You freed my pack. Now it's my turn. If Exarch Zingalis took Fëanorian, and I'm pretty sure he did, you'll find them both in the ruined Dwarven Tower. It's difficult to get inside if you're not a vampire, but I know a way. Like I said, Zingalis' helper made a mistake. Forgot to fasten my chains after one of my tortures. I slipped away, crawled along some pipes, and fell into a chamber with one of those dwarven lifts. There was also a door, the one behind me. It'll get you close. There's a big door that leads into Zingalis' lair, but it's sealed. You need to figure out the dwarven mechanism to open it. Then make your way to the experimentation chamber. That's probably where he's keeping Fëanorian. The door's over here. Hurry, before they spot us.
Definitely Dwarven. Watch out for traps. That must be the door Edyar mentioned. Sealed tight. No lock. Not even a handle. I don't suppose the werewolf told you how to open it, did he? Something turned on. Keep going. The gear started moving. You must be doing something right. That sounded promising. Let's try the door. This chamber's been... Oh, that smell. Like what we encountered at Kilcreath. The poultice spread on the witch pikes, only stronger, more concentrated. Take a look around and let's try to figure out what they're using this makeshift laboratory for. That's an ugly plant. Must be the netherroot mentioned in the note. Why does everything connected to vampires involve blood? That was Fenn. We need to keep moving. smell. It's overpowering. We need to shut down those machines. That's poison. Why are they spraying it on those plants? More of that nether root. Turn off those sprayers or we'll never get across this chamber. Keep going. We seem to be on the right track. That did something. Sure as bones, that stone husk is moving.
No! Why are you doing this to me?
We have what we need. This last one, we understand
our noble cause. The machine will finish him momentarily, my lord.
Finish your work here, Singalis, then join me in the keep. You must bear witness when we make our move.
Of course, Rada al-Saran. I am eager to see the power of our ultimate Harrow Storm. New test subjects. Just in time. This one is about spent. A shame to waste. You will do well. It's too late. For me.
Ben's delirious. See if you can free him.
Go. Warn Solitude. You should have left me. Go warn Solitude. Aksak Singalis and Rada al-Saran talked freely while they tortured me. They're planning some sort of assault on Solitude. A massive Harrow Storm. I need blood. But I won't drink from an unwilling person. In this state, even with a willing participant, I don't trust my restraint. If I only had my flask. My flask. Thank you, my friend. Rada al-Saran is the one they call the Ashen Lord, leader of the Grey Host. He and Singalis often went into the nearby sanctum to talk. I heard a few words. Map. Plan. But I couldn't make out the rest. Yes. Once I take a long drink from my flask, I'll join you.
Take your time. You've been through a...
Doc Zingalis was insane, but he was also a genius. If he kept records, they'll be in here.
I see a map. Turn this place upside down. We need to find out exactly what the Grey Host has planned. So, partner, what did you find? We set out to find Fen and bring him back to Solitude. Along the way, we learned more about our true enemy, killed one of their leaders, and acquired some valuable intelligence. That's a victory in my book. Not that I can think of. I'll make sure that Fen makes it to the Blue Palace. We'll meet you there. And don't forget that map and communique. Come on, Fen. Princess Vana herself requested your presence at the Blue Palace.
I don't believe I'm very good company right now.
Come on, Fen. We'll help you through this.
True. The Reach attacked Morthal. The Jarl's soldiers put a stop to it, as I understand.
That's nothing.
Well?
I heard something happened in Carthwart. Carthwart was destroyed. Doesn't seem like I'm getting much done here. You are welcome here, Fenorian of House Ravenwatch.
I don't know what to say.
You're back! Lyris was just making introductions and was about to give her report. Why don't you tell me what happened?
We just arrived ourselves. I introduced Fen to Svanna, but I haven't had a chance to give her our report. Why don't you do it, partner?
That device they strapped me in, it was horrible.
By all the Mead and Sovngarde, it's good to see you and the others. Your vampire scholar seems out of sorts, but I'm glad to make his acquaintance. Lyris tells me you ran into a bit of trouble. Care to explain? And I can't wait to hear all the details. In the meantime, let's take a look at what you found and try to devise a plan. Lyris didn't say much, but she indicated that time is short. Here, take this. You deserve a lot more, but it's all I can spare. The information you brought back from Blackreach might give us a fighting chance. Let's put our heads together and figure out how to use what you learned. My father be damned! The Grey Host? Where have I heard that name? Meanwhile, my father rounded up the Herald and moved his soldiers to the outer walls. Then he ordered the quartermaster to stockpile Castle Dower. He's preparing Solitude to withstand a long siege. That might work against a mob of Reachmen, but thick walls can't stop a Herostorm. Any war we try to wage will be over before it starts if we don't find a way to stop them. Fen knows more about the storms than anyone. See what he suggests. Talk to Fen. If he has any bright ideas, I'd love to hear them. Magister Fidelia has been studying the Icereach Coven medallion, but she hasn't had a lot of success. She seems even less confident about reproducing their protective enchantment now. She identified necromantic components as part of the enchantment, as well as reach rituals. But she isn't an expert on either type of magic. Frankly, I think she's exhausted the scope of her knowledge. You mean other than hounding my father and serving as go-between for the Jarl of Morthal and the Magister of Carthald? I wrangled promises out of my father and showed our allies that someone in Solitude still cares. I got High King Svargrim to promise to dispatch soldiers to reinforce Morthal's defenses and send aid to Carthwatch. It's a start, but he hasn't actually issued the orders yet. I need to follow up with him after we're finished. Sort of. He admits he might have been wrong about the Icereach Coven as far as that goes, but he still glares daggers whenever anyone mentions you or Lyris. So let's not bring up Fen, all right? She identified necromantic components as part of the enchantment, as well as reach rituals. But she isn't an expert on either type of magic. Frankly, I think she's exhausted the scope of her knowledge.
When you talk to Fen, go easy on him. He's been through a lot.
It's all right. I'm ready to help. I know what you need me to do. Put my experience behind me. Focus on the mission, just like Verandis taught me. Could you show me the research you recovered from Exarch Singalis' laboratory? These notes prove my theory. Netherroot is the key component of the Herostorm ritual. It's like a poison for the soul. Weakens the bonds to the body so it can be pulled free. They're harvesting life energy from anyone caught in the storms. I'm guessing, but it may have something to do with those stone husks we saw. Remember how the werewolf emerged from one? And look at the mixture you retrieved. It isn't like the residue we recovered from the witch pike. It's more concentrated. It's certainly what Singalis' notes imply. Despite how it looks, a plan is formulating in my mind. I think I can create an elixir, but I'll need more of this refined netherroot brew. And we need to solve the mystery of the Coven medallions. I know what you need me to do.
Place it on the table. I want to show you something. See those marks? Grey Host sites that correspond to the communique we found. I know a commander's map when I see one. Each of those marks matches a location mentioned in the communique from Rada al-Saran, the leader of the Grey Host. I can already see where we need to go. That mark on the northwest coast, that's an Icereach Coven camp. The communique mentioned needing more medallions. Odds are, they come from there. And here, a Midland camp between Dragonbridge and Morthal. It's a staging ground for the Herostorms. More than likely. Those two locations should provide what Fen needs to finish his elixir. We can't bet everything on that, though. The communique mentions a warlord's camp in Blackreach. Maybe we can learn more about their ultimate plan there. Svanna, Fen, and I will divvy up the camps and scout ahead. Fen should investigate the coastal camp. I'll take the Midlands camp. That leaves Svanna with Blackreach. Meet up with each of us when you're ready. Then we'll hit each camp in turn. We don't have a lot of solid details, just what we've pieced together from the Grey Host's notes and communique. But I'll answer your questions the best I can. Which camp did you want to ask about? The Grey Host isn't just hiding in Blackreach now. They're mounting an invasion, and this appears to be their primary staging ground. I expect they're stockpiling witch pikes, grey reliquaries, and other supplies here, including the refined brew. From what I can tell, the camp on the northwest coast is where the Coven first made landfall from Icereach. It's as close to a home base as they've got. They've established themselves there, so I'd expect it to be well defended, if not fortified. The communique mentioned orders to produce more of those medallions, probably to keep pace with the increase in harrow storms. I can't guarantee this is the coastal camp where the orders were sent, but it's the only one on the map. That's the one we know the least about, but it's where a lot of the Grey Host's warlords are gathering, at least according to the communique. It's the best place I can think of where we can get a look at those orders the Ashen Lord mentioned.
Svanna is heading to Blackreach, and Lyris wants to take the Midland camp, so I'm going to the coastal camp. I'll see you there. We should hurry, though. Once the Grey Host realizes we have this map, they might scatter like leaves in the wind.
What is it?
Ah, good. I was hoping you'd show up. Lyris was right. This camp is crawling with the Icereach Coven. And they're definitely producing the medallions here. I was even able to slip away with one. We need to get closer, though. There's more to figuring out this magic than just watching from afar. I need to know exactly how they go about creating them. With your help, we can learn everything about that here in this camp. It's a landing site for the boats coming from the island of Icereach. Plus, they're collecting something here that goes into the process of creating the medallions. If you can get me to the center of the camp, I can learn what that is. Determining how they create these medallions will be an enormous help. The Grey Host has accelerated their plans. They need more medallions for a reason. A big harrow storm is coming. We need to be ready. Because the Grey Host is guarding something down there. I couldn't get close, but it appeared that they built the camp to surround something. Plus, I heard a few of the witches talking. Complaining, really, about needing to prepare more medallions. In the First Era, an army of vampires and werewolves tried to conquer the land before they were stopped in Bankurai. They called themselves the Grey Host. It seems this Rada al-Saran has resurrected the army, both figuratively and literally. Examine the headstones. Let's determine what's so special about the exhumed bodies. Examine the headstones and see what you can make out. Finished? Have you come to any conclusions? Well, we've both been over the headstones with a fine-toothed comb. If we can determine why the Coven dug up these particular bodies, it will tell us something about how the medallions were enchanted. Of course, compare notes and look for commonalities. You have the makings of a fine scholar, my friend. Now, let's see. I noticed there were a mix of different races buried here. They weren't all Nords. Anything strike you about the departed? They did. Tell me more. Of course. Why didn't I see that? The headstones on the exhumed graves all mentioned that the person was old when they died. Let me think. Some necrotic spells require the remains of the elderly. Something to do with the natural decay of life. According to one necromantic theory, the older a living thing becomes, the more necrotic energy it naturally acquires. As a body grows old and withers, the life inside it decays. Necrotic energy is the byproduct of this deterioration. I now know enough about how they create the medallions to move my research along. I'll return to the Blue Palace and start putting an elixir together. To fully craft an elixir to defend against the Hera storms, I still require a sample of refined netherroot brew. Plus, we need to determine what the Grey Host has planned. Help Lyris and Svanna at the other camps. Then meet me at the Blue Palace.
Arrived. Don't worry, found something to keep me occupied. A bold move setting up camp in the midst of the Western Holds. I'll say this for the Grey Host. They aren't afraid to draw attention to themselves. I learned a few things while I was waiting for you to show up. It's just as we thought. The Grey Host is using this camp as a supply depot for their raids across the countryside. I saw stacks of witch pikes, rows of reliquaries, and jars of what I assume is the refined netherroot brew. Right. And I heard the camp leader, a nasty creature named Sableye, tell his troops to make sure to use the new supply that just arrived from Blackreach. Let's go grab a jar or two. No jars in this cart. Let's try another one. Not this card either. I hope we didn't miss it. I'll take that one.
Stop them, my packmates. I'll get this brew to the witches.
Sableye has the brew. Let's find him before he gets away.
The Grey Host does
You
with spies.
You got a jar of the refined brew? Let's talk over here. Luck was with us. If we had reached this camp even a few moments later, Sableye would have gotten away with the netherroot brew. After all this trouble, Fen better be able to use it to make his elixir. I'll take the jar of refined netherroot brew to Solitude. We'll meet up in Svanna's chambers when everyone gets back from their missions. I hope they're all right. Fen has proven himself, especially after what happened in Blackreach. House Ravenwatch, they're unusual as far as bloodsuckers go. As for Svanna, she's braver than I originally thought. Anyway, meet me in Solitude after you finish up. In addition to the refined netherroot brew, Fen needs information on the Icereach Coven medallions. Plus, we're hoping to learn more about the big storm the Grey Host has planned. Help Fen and Svanna at the other camps, then meet me in Solitude. Glad to hear that worked out. With any luck, Fen will produce a working elixir in short order. Then we can stop worrying about the Harrow storms and concentrate on defeating the Grey Host. Which reminds me, go to the Blackreach camp and aid Svanna.
Harrow storms and what they do to my people. I came here to learn what the Grey Host has planned, and what did I find? Good citizens of the Holds, afflicted by the Harrow storms and kept prisoner for some ungodly purpose. No matter how many I set free, the Herald will not leave this place. That's all I've been doing, and trying to get these afflicted people to leave this place. The Herald, the storm robs them of their will, their minds. I wasn't able to slip deeper into the camp, though. Agreed. There appear to be a number of Grey Host warlords in the camp, so discovering their plans should be possible. We need to be careful, though. I don't want us to wind up like the Herald, serving as food for these bastards. Messages have been coming and going since I arrived. I've heard the name Rada al-Saran, the Ashen Lord, spoken in hushed and revered tones. His name was on the communique you found, remember? We need to get down there and see what else we can learn. Hiding, building their forces, digging, undermining. That's the correct term, I think. Plus, they're collecting the Herald, herding them like cattle. It's monstrous what they're doing to these poor people. The only thing I'm sure of is I have to try. If my father won't act, then it falls on me to get things done. It's what my mother would want me to do. There, on the left. Let's listen in.
Exarch Zingalis has fallen. I have never seen Rada el-Saran, our Ashen Lord, so filled with sorrow, or such rage.
Does the loss of the Exarch alter our plans?
Not in the least. The strike on Solitude will occur as planned after Exarch Ulfra tests the improved ritual in the Undergrove.
On the scaffold. Let's eavesdrop on those werewolves.
I left the orders in my tent, but the Ashen Lord was clear. We need more netherroot. See to the Undergrove immediately.
As you command, Pentok.
The Undergrove? That sounds important. The Grey Host definitely has something big planned. Let's search the tents for a copy of those orders. That's what we were looking for. Let's talk over there. Orders from Rada al-Saran. His words sent a chill down my spine. Their plan for Solitude? It might even be more dreadful than an all-out attack. We need to get back and determine the exact location of this Undergrove place. You saw what happened at Kilcreath and Carthwatch. Whatever they have planned for Solitude, it sounds a whole lot worse. I wish we knew more about this Rada al-Saran and what drives him. A family of monsters? Who could imagine vampires and werewolves working together? Let alone talking about one another like brothers and sisters. It's not natural. I'm glad I got to look around Blackreach, but I can't wait to see the sun and sky again. No matter how big these caverns are, it still feels like we're buried alive down here. We came down here to find out what the Grey Host has planned. But Fen still needs information about how the medallions are created, and a sample of the refined netherroot brew. Help Fen and Lyris at the other camps. Then meet me in Solitude. Then we're done here. I hope we found enough to end the threat of the Grey Host. I'll meet you back at the Blue Palace. Good luck, my friend.
So, do we have a way to defend against the Harrow Storms, or what?
The elixir should do what we need, provided neither Fen nor I made any miscalculations.
Yolen, don't be so negative. The elixir will work. You'll see. Oh, good. You're back. Mjolin and I have been discussing the various ways to turn what we've got into a protective elixir. I'm hesitant to get too excited, but I think we've figured out how to defend against the Harrow Storms. The Grey Host uses an unstable mix of alchemy and sorcery to create the Harrow Storms. An arcane ritual and the netherroot brew focus the power of each Harrow Storm through the prepared witch pikes. Ingenious, not fully exploitable. We can use the refined brew as the basis of our elixir. Now that we understand how the Harrow Storms are created, we can use those same components to replicate the medallion's protective properties. We just need to gather the necessary components. Svana's associate, Mog, will procure most of the supplies I need, but there's one final ingredient required. For various reasons, I can't simply walk into the Hall of the Dead and claim it myself. I need you to acquire Arkay's sacred oil. A holy ointment associated with a god that became popular due to imperial influence. It's used by the priests in the Hall of the Dead to provide protection against necromancy and the undead. We need that oil to create our elixir.
You'll need my help. I'll meet you at the Hall of the Dead. Mog, put away the tankard and get the supplies Fen requires.
Yes, your royal ladiness. But I'm keeping the tankard.
Knowing the orders my father has been issuing of late, you might need my help to acquire Arkay's sacred oil. I'll meet you at the Hall of the Dead.
Svanna's giving orders. Thinks she's a proper princess now, she does. Well, I am an expert at procuring all sorts of procurements. I'll get what the Pale Elf needs. After I finish this drink. For medicinal purposes, you understand.
To the Hall of the Dead with you. Hurry along! Ingert still serves as High Priest, I believe. We're much the same, he and I. Yet he gets the fancy temple. And I get a hut in the woods.
Go ahead. Get what Fen needs from the Hall of the Dead. I'll make sure Mog follows through on procuring the rest of the supplies. He can be easily distracted in case you haven't noticed.
More refugees arrive by the hour. Why does Svargrim hesitate?
The High King issues orders, but all they do is lock away the afflicted. When will we strike back?
The Harrowstorms continue to ravage our land, filling the city walls with people crying for protection. And what does the High King do? Next to nothing. Oh, he makes small gestures, but still things worsen. So he has. But have soldiers been sent to Morthal? Has aid been dispatched to Garthald? No, not yet. Svargrim helps the people that flow into the city, while the rest of Western Skyrim suffers. We must find the perpetrators and attack!
I hoped the words of the High Priest would offer some comfort, but no. The poor man seems more in need of solace than the faithful of solitude, and still the refugees pour in. My Jarl dead, our hold destroyed, and the High King does almost nothing. The princess. Can we really trust that troubled young woman? After everything you did in Carthwatch, I suppose I must. If you and Svanna truly have a way to help, please be quick about it. I feel we're running out of time.
Princess Svanna, what can I do for you, Your Highness?
Listen to my friend, High Priest. We need your help. I came here after my mother's death. Someone had to handle the arrangements. Talk to the High Priest and ask about the sacred oil. I need a moment.
I'm surprised to see the princess here. As you can see, the influx of refugees has made this place much more hectic than usual. Is there something I can do for Princess Svanna? Sacred oil? Strange. That's the second time today someone has come seeking Arke's anointing balm. Sword Thane Athlet arrived with an edict from the king. Demanded our entire supply. How we're to consecrate the dead without it, I have no idea. The Sword Thane wouldn't say. He just mentioned that the High King needed it to defend Solitude. I'm sorry I can't comply with the princess's request. Things are hard enough that these refugees must take shelter here among the dead. The Sword Thane took the oil to Castle Dower. That's where all the supplies for a siege are gathered during periods of strife. I pray that High King Svargrim receives the patience and wisdom required to see us through this crisis. Solitude's foundation began with the construction of Castle Dower. It's the oldest structure in the city, and the most defensible. I tried to move the refugees there for safekeeping, but my request was denied. The High King has other plans, I suppose.
Has my father found a way to use this sacred oil against the Grey Host? Perhaps he's doing more than I thought. This Sword Thane has helped me in the past. He'll be reasonable. He has to be. Let's let him know what we need.
Hold! Castle Dower is... Princess Svanna.
Sword Thane, our business is urgent. My friend will explain. Has my father found a way to use this sacred oil against the Grey Host? Perhaps he's doing more than I thought. This Sword Thane has helped me in the past. He'll be reasonable. He has to be. Let's let him know what we need.
I don't have time for the princess's proclivities right now. The High King... We barely keep up with the multitude of tasks, so speak quickly and let me get back to it. My orders from the High King were clear. Stockpile the entire supply of sacred oil in the Temple of the Divines here within the confines of Castle Dower. What in Shore's name does the princess need with holy oil anyway? Protection? Truly? The Herald already outnumber my soldiers, and more arrive every day. Still, giving you the oil would violate the High King's edict. I suppose if I happened to look the other way for a moment, I wouldn't notice if a flask disappears.
A single flask? Then we'll have to make do. Let's get it back to...
Sword Thane, why his work? I gave strict orders, yet my daughter freely enters the castle grounds. What do they want, Sword Thane?
We came to offer our assistance, Father. Sword Thane, how can we help?
Athlet has everything well in hand, child. Despite your intentions, you would only hinder our efforts. Go! The Sword Thane doesn't need my daughter or her wastrel underfoot. Away with you! We're much too busy for Svanna's frivolous notions.
My father's never been what I'd call a warm and caring parent. But this crisis has made him even more distant. Let's get this sacred oil to Fen. My father will certainly change his attitude once we present the protective elixir to him. He's trying to protect me. It's what he does. And leave me out. Though I suppose that's mostly my own fault. I know Mother's death weighs on him. As does this entire crisis. That's why we have to help. This elixir is going to work. It has to. It's not that unusual. Castle Dower is the most defensible part of the city. In the past, we'd gather the people inside the walls. Now my father is using the fortress to house the Herald. They need to go somewhere, right? Come on, let's go.
What do you want?
Once it's ready, I'll test the elixir.
As you say, Lyris. Ah, here they come now. You have the sacred oil? Add it to the cauldron. Yes. A perfect fusion. It's ready to be tested. Come, let's talk.